Which 5th level spell is the best 5th level spell? This week I rank the top 10 5th level spells in 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. Hello players and GMs, I am Reese and welcome to another video by Jetpack7. Before we get started, I just want to thank everyone who commented on my video a couple weeks ago and told me how they got interested in my channel and all that good stuff. All of your ideas of new content you'd like to see were very helpful, and it ended up being an unintentional confidence booster because so many of you left extremely kind comments in the process. It truly meant the world to me to read all of those, so thank you all so much for your kindness and advice, and I'm going to do my absolute best to respond to every single one of those in the coming days. And as always, please consider subscribing and clicking the notification bell to help out the channel if you haven't already. This week, I am getting back to my spell ranking videos with 5th level spells. And I say this every video, and I think I will continue saying it, but ranking spells is hard. They are all so good in so many different situations, and 5th level was absolutely no exception. This level of spell has a good mix of damage and utility, so I tried to keep a strong balance of both in the top 10. Basically, if there was a damage spell that I think is worse than any other 5th level damage spell, I didn't include it in the list to avoid redundancy, for the most part. All that said, let's go ahead and jump right in to our first spell at 10th level, Hold Monster. Hold spells are always amazing. They stop creatures from moving or doing anything really, and then they allow your allies to lay down some serious hurt in the meantime. Everything I said about Hold Person in past videos applies to Hold Monster, but obviously Hold Monster has the benefit of applying to literally all creatures other than undead. A dragon won't stay on the ground? The spell can help. A pesky wizard keeps blowing up all your friends? The spell can help that too. All around, it is offense and defense in a single spell, and that is always super helpful. Speaking of offense and defense in a single spell, in 9th place I have placed Bigby's Hand. Bigby's Hand is just a fantastic spell, and it would be an absolute travesty not to include it in my top 10 list. You can punch, you can slap, you can grasp, and you can interpose. The hand does it all and more, depending on how flexible your DM is in the use of the spell. The thing is, it is also very good at all of those things. With a strength score of 26, there are very few creatures in the game that will surpass the spell in that field, which allows for some pretty ridiculous antics. It can cover up for a lot of weaknesses for casters by allowing them to grapple targets, hit them, move them away, and give themselves cover all with one single spell. I always say that a flexible spell is strong as hell, and Bigby's Hand is truly one of the strongest. In 8th place, I have one of my favorite illusion spells in 5th edition, Seeming. Seeming is essentially mass disguise self, and much like disguise self, Seeming has saved my life and the life of my party countless times. Infiltrating an enemy's lair can be extremely difficult in D&D, especially considering the wide breadth of skills a party may have. Not everyone is good at deception or stealth. Not everyone can hide the fact that they're a Goliath in a camp full of orcs. Seeming allows you to bypass all of that worry and just walk right in. No need to stealth through a side entrance when you can waltz through the front door and let your bard do the talking. And anybody who's been discovered while in the middle of an extremely hostile environment knows exactly how important it can be to stay unseen. And Seeming lets you do that comfortably and easily, which to me definitely justifies having it in the top 10. In 7th place, I have what is, in my opinion, the second best damage spell at this level, Synaptic Static. It is one of the newer spells, but it is a good one. Wielding the same damage, radius, and range of Fireball, you may be thinking, why the heck did I include this spell at this level when something like Cone of Cold exists? And I'll tell you, utility, utility, utility. Every creature who fails the save also has to subtract a d6 from every single attack roll, ability check, and concentration check. Now, obviously attack rolls are the biggest one there, but again, this is a damage spell and a defensive spell wrapped up into one nice little package. It's just Fireball, but better in literally every single way. It is a less common damage type, it does the same damage at the same range and radius, but also adds a disabling status effect. Fireball is OP for its level, sure, and I wouldn't say this spell is OP for 5th level by any means, but that doesn't make it any less potent. Big damage with a big disable makes for a very bad time for enemies, locking the spell into a pretty solid 7th place. Many of you all know I am a sucker for mobility, and my 6th place spell is one of the best mobility spells in the game by a long shot, Far Step. It's just Misty Step, but twice as far, and you can do it every single turn instead of just once. Being able to teleport 60 feet every turn as a bonus action is obviously really insane. That essentially increases your movement speed to 90, barring any other move speed buffs, while also allowing you to disengage from any opponents without taking attacks of opportunity. Repositioning is so important in D&D, and there isn't a spell that allows you to do it quite like Far Step. Even the big teleportation spells like Dimension Door are only a one-time thing, so the fact that you can just keep doing it makes this spell a strong contender for the most powerful mobility spell in 5e. In 5th place is a pretty easy one, well, kind of two. I have placed Reincarnation and Raise Dead in the same spot here. I put them both in the same spot because they're kind of just the same spell, both of them just with slightly different positives and negatives that I think balance each other out and make them pretty even in strength. I personally prefer Reincarnation because it's funnier, but Raise Dead is great too if you're not a druid. Not much to say about this one, just that it is a better, more expensive Revivify. You don't have to do it within a minute, so it gives you the time to get somewhere safe, gather the materials you need, and bring someone back when you've got the spell slots to do it. Keeping a spell slot open for Revivify can be hard sometimes, so it's nice not having to worry about it as much with these spells. You can blow all your spell slots and then have them back the next day to bring back your dead ally. And Resurrection is obviously super strong in 5e, so I think it belongs up here right around the middle of the list. In 4th place, I have Greater Restoration. Again, not much to say about this one. It cures pretty much everything other than a few rare conditions. This is the spell that prevents you from having to use a resurrection spell, or even worse, having to roll a new character. It is an emergency spell, and by the time you're casting 5th level spells, emergency situations are usually very dire. So I had to make sure Greater Restoration made its way to the top 4 of this list at the very least. This is a spell you could and should always take. Now earlier I mentioned the 2nd best damage spell at this level. Well, in 3rd place I have the best damage spell at this level. By far, Animate Objects. Any combination of this spell's uses will put out huge damage. 10 daggers, a huge statue, and a medium statue, whatever it is, the fact that you can mentally command these objects to attack as a bonus action and deal that much damage every single turn is absolutely ridiculous. 10 daggers can potentially do 10d4 plus 40 damage every turn. That is just insane. And I really don't know what else to say about it. Use the spell if you can. It is way too good at dealing damage. Our top 2 are pretty interchangeable in my opinion given the situation, but for a vague ranking sense, I think that the 2nd place spell has to be Wall of Force. Wall of Force is flat out probably the best wall spell in the game until Prismatic Wall at 9th level, at least that I can think of off the top of my head. Really, the only way to get through it is to teleport in or disintegrate it away. If you don't have either of those options, you're screwed. Simply due to that, this spell is blown wide open in terms of its uses. You can use it to lock enemies out of a fight. You can use it to lock enemies into a fight with several of your allies while you wait patiently outside. You can protect your allies and yourself by separating the party from the enemies. It really just offers so much value to you and your party, both offensively and defensively, that it is impossible for me to rank this below 2nd. I think a lot of you mentioned this one on my top spells at every level video, and after taking a second glance at all of the 5th level spells, I was definitely wrong to ignore this one. And the 5th level spell that is the strongest of them all, in my opinion, is Mass Cure Wounds. A huge heal that can target up to 6 creatures in range is going to change the course of a fight, no matter what. 3d8 plus your spellcasting modifier is a pretty big heal in and of itself, but being able to heal up your entire party nearly every single time with that is absolutely game-changing. It can bring up fallen allies with health to spare, and heal up any allies that have been hurt in a super significant way. 17 or 18 HP on average to 6 creatures ends up being over 100 points of healing total, which surpasses the total healing of Heal, generally regarded as one of the most powerful healing spells in the game. So yeah, this spell packs a huge punch, but like a reverse punch, a hug. The spell packs a huge hug for your whole party and will quickly and easily turn a losing fight into a winning one, which makes me very confident that it belongs at the very top of this list. Alright, that is my list of the top 10 5th level spells in 5e. Let me know in the comments below what you all think of my ranking and if there are any spells you think I left out or misplaced. If you like this video, please consider liking it and subscribing to the channel, and as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you around.